Patrick moved into the house next to ours on a quiet autumn day. He arrived with just a few pieces of furniture in an old van. My wife Emma immediately felt sorry for him. He looked sad and lonely, a thin young man who seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. We lived in a semi-detached house just outside the village, and his house had been empty for months. We rarely saw Patrick after he moved in. He took long walks in the countryside and went to the village every day to shop. He always walked because he had no car. Emma thought he was too poor to afford one, so we decided to help. The next day, when Patrick came out to go shopping, I offered him a ride. He politely refused, saying he preferred to walk. We were surprised, but he smiled gently and continued on foot. Emma wouldn't give up. She believed Patrick was just shy and needed kindness. We tried again, waiting in our car the next time he went out. When we offered him a ride, he looked away uncomfortably and declined once more. Emma was puzzled, but remained determined to help this lonely young man. One evening, Emma decided to invite Patrick for dinner. She was convinced he didn't eat properly because he was so thin. We both enjoyed rich food, butter, cream, and sweet cakes, which made us a bit overweight, but we loved it. When Patrick opened his door, he seemed hesitant. He explained that he only ate certain foods, following a strict vegetarian diet of fruits, vegetables, and bread. I insisted that Emma could make a wonderful vegetarian meal, and after some persuasion, he reluctantly agreed to come. Emma prepared everything carefully, though she secretly added butter to the vegetables and made a rich fruit pudding with sugar and cream. That evening, we learned that Patrick was 27, unemployed, and had no family. His parents were dead, and he had no siblings. We felt genuinely sorry for him. However, Patrick barely touched his food, claiming he wasn't hungry. Emma felt a bit offended after all her effort, but she quickly moved on to worrying about his loneliness. Emma became obsessed with the idea that Patrick was unhappy. She noticed he had no friends and spent his evenings alone. She decided we should invite him to watch television with us, convinced it would cheer him up. When I knocked on his door that cold, wet evening to invite him over, Patrick's face turned pale with fear. He refused immediately, saying he never watched television. His reaction was so intense that I was genuinely surprised. When I told Emma, she was hurt and angry. At 3 a.m, Emma woke me with a new plan. She would throw a big party and invite Patrick, telling him there would be noise anyway, so he might as well join us. I refused to invite him this time, so Emma did it herself. Poor Patrick couldn't say no to her insistence. The party was loud with music, dancing, rich food, cigarette smoke, and endless drinks. Our friends pushed food and drinks toward Patrick all night. Around midnight, I noticed he looked terrible, his face white with panic. 10 minutes later, he had disappeared. Emma said he felt unwell and had to leave. A few nights later, Patrick knocked on our door. He stood in the wind and rain, pale as a ghost with dark, frightened eyes. He asked us to call a doctor because he felt ill. We brought him inside, and Emma made tea while I phoned Dr. Jameson. The doctor examined Patrick and found he had a fever and an irregular heartbeat. He prescribed medicine and rest, suggesting it might be a virus or allergy. Emma insisted on looking after Patrick. When we entered his house, we were amazed to find it had no television, no computer, no phone, not even electric lights. He used only candles. Emma was convinced his poverty prevented him from buying modern appliances. Despite my protests, she brought our old television to his bedroom. When Patrick woke and saw it, terror filled his eyes. He tried to move and speak, but he was too weak. Emma forced him to watch programs while she fed him rich, fattening food. For 8 days, Emma held Patrick prisoner in his own bed. She brought a radio, hired a video recorder, and invited friends to visit constantly. The phone rang endlessly. Patrick had to watch television, listen to loud music, and endure the noise of visitors. His eyes became glassy, his face expressionless, like a zombie. Emma fed him 3 large meals daily, and he gained weight, but grew weaker. After 10 days, he barely moved or spoke, just staring blankly ahead. Dr. Jameson was puzzled. Patrick looked healthier and less thin, but his heart remained weak. 2 days later, a specialist named Dr. Spencer Stone arrived. He was a tall, bearded man who explained that Patrick might be suffering from a new illness caused by emissions from electronic devices like televisions, computers, and phones. These machines disturbed the brain's electrical functions, causing fever, rapid heartbeat, and eventually a coma-like state. The patient would eat constantly, gaining weight before ultimately dying. Suddenly, a terrible scream came from Patrick's house. Emma ran out crying. Dr. Stone went inside and emerged moments later with devastating news. Patrick was dead. Under his pillow, we found a letter. I read it aloud, my hands trembling. Patrick wrote that he knew the 20th century was killing him. 10 years earlier, as a typical teenager, he had lived surrounded by disco music, television, video games, and computers. He developed severe headaches, fever, and heart problems. After an accident cleared his mind, he realized his lifestyle was destroying him. He changed everything, abandoning technology and modern conveniences, eating only natural foods, and walking everywhere. But he couldn't escape completely. The 20th century was too strong, too pervasive. He knew death was coming. Dr. Stone said sadly that he would publish Patrick's case so the world would know about this illness of the mind caused by modern life. Before he could finish speaking, Emma collapsed to the ground with a strange cry. Dr. Stone examined her quickly, then looked at me with grave eyes. She had developed a fever, and her heartbeat was dangerously fast. He shook his head slowly, and in that moment I understood with horror that we were all trapped in the same inescapable prison, slowly being consumed by the very century we had created.